You will find out how the Rich Dad Company got started, how we took the risk, and how the company grew to a multi-million-dollar company all over the world. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. And welcome to Rich Dad TV, the program that explains why the rich are getting richer. And in this program, very exciting, you will find out how the Rich Dad Company got started, how we took the risk, and how the company grew to a multi-million-dollar company all over the world. And today we have some very special guests. We have my partner, Sharon Lecter, Mike Lecter, my attorney, and also my other partner in real estate, Ken McElroy. But before I go any further, I would like to introduce the most important partner of my life. That's my partner, Kim Kiyosaki. A big hand for her.
This show today is going to be amazing. We also have an interview with Donald Trump, which I think is going to be phenomenal. And you're really going to hear some of the inside stories behind the Rich Dad Company. But before we get started, we want to go to Richard, who's in the street talking to a few people. So, Richard, take it away.
We're in the streets, and we're going to ask some people some questions. Follow me. Hey, have you ever read Rich Dad, Poor Dad?
I'm currently reading it at the moment.
Yes, I have. I have. I have read that.
It was probably, to me, probably one of the maybe 4 or 5 books in my life that probably changed me the most.
I have read the book Rich Dad, Poor Dad. I love that book.
Amazing. Very allows you to think outside the box.
How this whole Rich Dad phenomenon started was like 1994. I had retired at the age of 47, and I began to wonder, how I retired, because I didn't have a job, I didn't have a 401k, I didn't have mutual funds, I didn't diversify, and I definitely did not live below my means. So with that, in 1994, I was 47, which means if you're 65 years old when you retire, I still had 20 more years to go. And I found out very early on that retirement is boring. It was the most boring thing I'd ever done. I sat there with nothing to do, played with my cat all day, and that was about it. And so I figured I'd better do something. So I went and bought some ranch land down in southern Arizona near a little town called Bisbee, Arizona, and then 50 acres, I had a house on it and all this, and I would sit there and work on my house, and in the mornings I'd wake up and I'd see, Bambi going through the trees near the river, and then I'd see a mountain lion chasing Bambi, and I said, this is a wonderful place. And the interesting thing about that spot is that I had a telephone, but I had no television, I had no radio, so I had nothing else to do. So instead of just watch TV and waste my time, I sat there with my little Mac computer and I started writing about, how did I get here? How did I retire earlier than everybody else? No mutual funds, no job, not living below my means. And so I was striking the keyboard one night and suddenly it just popped up. It said, I had a rich dad and I had a poor dad. So Rich Dad, Poor Dad's a true story about my 2 dads. My real dad was a great man, head of education for the state of Hawaii, PhD. And just a great guy, but he always said the same thing to me about money. Go to school, get good grades, you get a safe, secure what? Job. And, I said, I don't want to do that, but anyway. And my rich dad was my best friend's father, and starting at the age of 9, he began to teach me. And my rich dad said, if you get a job, your chances of becoming rich are slim to none. So somewhere along the process, I had to decide which dad to listen to, my rich dad or my poor dad. So I listened to my rich dad, and that's why I could retire. And with that, the lesson, the first thing I had to design then was this board game, because I learned a lot about money playing Monopoly with my rich dad. So I came out of the mountains and I showed this to my wife, and I said, this is our next project. Now, as you can tell, I'm not a great graphic designer. I'm not going to win awards for this stuff. So my wife, Kim, being a great person, she said, well, let's give it a shot. So with that, I would not be here today without my sweetheart, Kim. I've been married to her over 20 years. May I have a hand for my wife, Kim, please.
Thank you.
So remember, this is around 1994, 1995, and my new ideas for my new business is starting, and I come home, and she's managing her real estate empire in Scottsdale.
Which I love. And then we decided to take a trip to New York City, since we had so much time on our hands. And it was in December of '95. We were at the Dean and DeLuca coffee shop. And for anybody who's ever watched the Today Show, when they go outside, there's a sign that says Dean and DeLuca. That's the coffee shop where we were sitting, trying to figure out, do we build a business? Don't we build business? What do we do? And it was there that we said, we're going to build this game. We're going to build our next business together. And
why we were afraid of, number one, would it fail? What if we didn't make it? And we had to raise about $150,000 to get it started. So it was go, no go, you know, what if we fail? What if we make mistakes? What if people laugh at us?
And even the process of building it and creating it was pretty time-consuming and very draining at times. And there would be times where our brains would just be fried, and Robert would turn to me and he goes, I think it's a 2-pitcher night. And we go down to our local pizza shop, get a pitcher of beer, talk a little bit about it, and then go to bed and wake up the next morning and start all over again. And then it was time to figure out, you know, now we've got the game created. Are we going to put the $150,000 and manufacture it or not? So we had time on our hand. So
we went to Hawaii to discuss it further. She was brave. I was the real chicken one going, you know, because I've had several companies not make it and fail.
Well, we had a lot of people. They said, you know, oh, it's too complicated. It'll never sell. And we had all this feedback coming in. Yeah. So we made an agreement. We said, by the time we come back from Hawaii, we're going to decide whether we're going to go forward or not. So every morning.
We went forward with it, and this is the finished product. So if you can hold this up and you can hold this up, you can see how an idea starts to grow into a multi-$100 million, maybe $1 billion business pretty soon. But that's how it started. And we went through the same doubts and fears that most people go through about money and failure and things like that.
Once we even manufacture it, then it's like, well, how do we sell it? You know, that's a whole other set of problems.
Yeah. So with that, from which we're going to go into is how to turn your ideas into millions of dollars, because most of us have $1 million ideas. We just don't know how to turn it into money. And the first person I had to go see is my attorney. This is Michael Lecter. He's one of the top trademark patent attorneys in the U.S. Big hands.